Hey Russ, how about setting the scene physically for the Spiders? Where are you compared to where you were on August 3rd when you started camp?
We're gradually getting people back. We'll have a couple more back today, so we're working towards kind of getting everybody healthy. You're talking about health-wise, right? Yeah, I mean we're starting to get them back. So we'll get a couple more back to practice today. So they're coming along slowly but surely.
Would Good all be in that group?
No, he won't play this week.
Knee?
Yes.
Bruise?
Well, we don't know yet. So we'll see what happens here in the next week or so with him.
Coach, I know both teams are considerably different than 2 years ago, but for the guys that were on that team that beat them there 2 years ago, I mean, did they provide any sort of kind of extra confidence or extra boost to the guys? Like, hey, we can go in there and do this.
Well, I didn't even look back to see who played in that game. Obviously, I think Brissett played and Wilkins and some of those guys, but probably Yarborough played a little bit, I would think, and defensively Clyde. But so now I'm down to about 4 or 5 guys or 6 guys that played in that game. So they're two completely different teams. Virginia's different than at that point in time. University of Richmond's a completely different team. So, I mean, this is a new year, different team, different faces, and so I don't know what kind of help they could give them, to be honest with you, but probably not very much.
How difficult is it to prepare for a team whose quarterback will play much different than their quarterback played last year, and who will play himself much different than he played last year in a different kind of style? How hard is that to prepare for?
Pretty hard. It's a different type of quarterback, just like you said, and it's a different type of offense. So, defensively, I mean, normally you spend. When it's the first game, you probably break down a lot more games. But for this one, we've had to do a lot. Our defense has, and not only researching their new quarterback, but what we think they may do or may not do. How they'll be different, how they'll be the same. So it is. I mean, it's a difficult task for our defense to kind of figure out exactly what they're going to do, but. I know they'll use their quarterback differently this year, so we've kind of figured that one out. But the rest of it'll be, it'll be on the fly, and hopefully we're prepared. Our offense is a quarterback kind of run based offense, so we see a lot of the things that we anticipate seeing.
These are difficult games for schools at your level to play schools at UVA's level. And I know you like it for the competitive nature of it and the chance it gives your guys to play in a big stadium and a bigger venue. There's also a financial component to it. If you could get the money without having to play the game, would you want to play these games against schools like Virginia?
Well, I mean, that's a trick question that you're hitting me with right off the bat here. If you ask a couple of our players, they say, "Oh yeah, we want to play it." If you're asking me, would I play somebody would I rather play somebody not as good? Yeah, of course I would. So I'm not going to sit here and lie, but I do think it has its advantages. It has its advantages in recruiting. Not only for for when we go out and recruit, but to let people know that they're going to get these opportunities. So it does help in recruiting. I think for our players that are on the team at this time, I mean, they love doing it. They love playing. Everywhere I've ever been, no matter who you're playing at that level, they love to do it. And then obviously the financial component's really one of the biggest reasons why you do it. But I'd rather play somebody not as good.
Theoretically, they're bigger, faster, stronger, and have more depth. From a coaching standpoint, does that concern you about a greater chance of injuries occurring to your players?
Well, I've been a head coach for 9 years, and other than last year, but all 8 of the years I was a head coach, we played, BCS programs, and there's no more risk of injury in those games than there are. We probably, He took more injuries versus Division II. I think the game is cleaner, when you're playing better opponents, so it's a cleaner game. And I do think there's less injuries in these types of games, to be honest with you, because when they're athletic, they stay on their feet, and so when you play these types of opponents, there's probably less risk of injury. Now, the depth thing is huge. I do agree with you on that, and we probably won't get to play as many players as they play during the course of a game just because of our depth. So that makes a big difference. But I do think these games are pretty clean games all the way across the board.
You hear people talk about how playing tough opponents early in the season kind of thickens a team up a little bit and makes them a little bit more prepared for what they're going to face at the end. Does this game have that quality, or is this just kind of a different entity altogether?
Well, I think games like these, when you play them early in the season, it gets your guys in the summer and in camp looking to something that's pretty cool, that's pretty challenging. So I do think it helps you in your preparation, not game week as much, but it does help. I think it does help. Anytime you're playing a quality opponent right off the bat, it really does help you to focus and what you're doing in the off season. So I do think these help. And she's been trying to get a question in forever here.
Spotlight's on me, right?
Go.
Coach, can you touch upon Kevin Johnson's development and how you've seen him emerge as a leader in the quarterback role?
Oh, he's done a really nice job. First off, I'm going to say he's talented, and I'm not sure if people realize, just how good of a football player he is. From arm strength to football smarts to the ability to move. Probably not the fastest guy in the world, but can run, can make you miss. But so he does have all those quarterback qualities. Now he's not 6'3" or 6'4" like Kyle was, but if we're smart as coaches, we take advantage of his skill set. But he can sling it pretty good. I think his leadership is the thing that's impressed me most. Since he kind of took over this role as a starting quarterback, he has really embraced it. He's led our football team, and I'm proud of him for that. So I think Kevin's can have a great year this year.
Coach, has he seemed relaxed this week as he gears up for his first game and almost?
Does Kevin?
Yeah.
Kevin? I don't know. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to him, to be honest with you. Actually, yesterday, the whole day, I kind of spent the whole time, on the defensive side of the ball. But so I really didn't watch him to see how he was. Obviously, this is a big game. I mean, anytime you're playing a BCS program and playing Virginia, an hour away, I think it's huge. But, Kevin's been in a couple pretty big games in the past, which really will help him. It's not his first big game, and I'm not saying North Carolina A&T and North Dakota and Eastern Washington or anywhere comparable to the University of Virginia, but they were big games at the time, and he performed really well. So this is not, if we were throwing him in his first game against UVA, you probably have a little bit of nerves about it, but he's been there, so I feel pretty good about him.
Coach, through head coaching experience, is there something different about coaching the first game of the season, not having the game reps of preseason like the NFL? But have you found maybe either signs to look for, patience, testing out, trying different things, more aggressive, more conservative? Is there a different approach to the first game of the year?
Yes. I think these types of games, first game of the year, it really is hard to know exactly what the opposing team's going to do, and especially if there's position changes, coaching changes all the way across the board. What your team's going to be like, too. I mean, we've got a lot of new players that are playing this year for us, so that makes a big difference. And I think, it's in game for the first half of the game. I mean, you're trying to, all right, we think they're going to do this. Is this what they're doing? No, they're doing this. Now the adjustments that occurred during the game and kind of the feeling out process, you hope you can survive and not give up any big plays while you're feeling, while the feeling out process is going on. But you never know. You never know how your guys are going to react. But the first game is such a learning experience, and that's why they always say you get so much better from the first game to the second game. I mean, that's a coach's cliche, and that's been going on forever. So, it is a little frightening to not know everything about your opponent.
Fast forwarding to Saturday, what are you going to tell the guys before they take the field?
I don't know yet. Normally what I say makes no difference, to be honest with you. They're either practicing well Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and mentally focused on Friday. If we got to come beating the door down on the way out, we're probably not ready. Matter of fact, I learned this from Jimmy Laycock a long time ago. It's the pregame speeches and the hoop and hollering is not what wins football games. It's how you prepare leading up to the game. So I always thought, back in my young days, I always thought, why can't Coach be more fired up for a game? And then I realized after 250 wins that probably don't have to get them juiced up coming out of the locker room. 250 for him, not me. I never hit that in my life. Yeah, I hope you all knew that wasn't me. I'll never get to 250.
How hopeful do you expect watching Broncos' old teams at BYU in terms of getting ready for what they're going to do offensively? I'm sure you've done a fair bit of that.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that. Actually incorporated all that into our breakdowns along with UVA. So, and that's why it's, what our defensive guys had to watch, and break down and kind of try to figure out is just so much more than what you would normally do in a game. So, yeah, I mean that's a huge part of what we're looking at.
Speed has been a big topic this offseason. Is that something that jumps out at you?
They're always scary whenever you play the BCS schools. I mean, the speed is what's scary, and not only offensively and defensively, but the kicking game. That one guy they got, Joe Reed, is tremendous. I mean, he's as good as there is in the country, doing what he does, returning kicks. And so, in special teams, I think it shows up a lot more than it actually does during the game. So the speed component when you're playing those guys. But if you're asking me, have I seen a lot of team speed? Yes. I mean, I'm watching. You're watching ACC football, and if you don't have team speed, you probably don't win a football game in that league. So yeah, there's a lot of team speed out there on both sides of the ball.
Coach, you mentioned earlier in regards to you slowly getting guys back healthy on your roster, and I know in the last scrimmage you had a whole lot of guys sitting out. How challenging has it been this offseason with so many guys getting bumps and bruises to fully have your full complement on the field?
Well, it's been real challenging, but like I said, I think everybody. I know Coach Mendenhall they've had people out during camp and not practicing, and so they have the same issues that we have, that probably Virginia Tech has, that probably Villanova has, and we all have these issues. Now we've had quite a few. I mean, there was probably at one point in time 15 guys not practicing, on a day. Now we haven't had 15 not practicing for multiple days, but there's been days when it's hit that number, and again we're way down now as far as the number, so we've got quite a few guys back, so feel pretty good about that. Just they haven't practiced a bunch, and I know Coach Mendenhall said the same thing. The missing the practice time hurts, but it's good to have them back for sure.